Okay, today we're going to learn how to do block letters. Now, whether you do these on paper or you do them on the computer, it doesn't matter. The technique is the same. I'm going to use a technique I've used with my students for many years, and that is to draw a figure eight. Now, what I mean is if you look at an old style calculator, you'll see that each number is actually an 8. The parts are made up of a figure 8, and that's what I'm going to do with these block letters. So what I'm doing here is drawing the figure 8. Now from this figure 8 I could make almost any block letter. There are some exceptions, but most of them I can make from this shape here. So let's start with the hardest block letter there is to make, and you probably guessed letter S is very difficult to do. So I start by drawing a few lines, I cut the corners off, and my S is done. So now I just have to show you what the S looks like. So I'm going to fill it in with some gray paint, and there you go. There's my block letter S. That's the toughest one, so I thought I would start with that one. So let's draw all the letters A to Z, but I want to show you a B first because a B just uses basically the same shape. It's this S, and you just cut off the couple of corners and make a little V in the middle, and that's it. It's done. Now, when you go to a letter like an A, it's a little bit different. You're not really using this figure 8 much. You're just kind of drawing in this shape. And you can see here exactly what I mean. There's a little error there. Have to fix that. And see, there's a little spot there that the paint can get out of. I'll just fill that in, and we should be good to go. So an A is one of those exceptions. Doesn't really use the figure 8 much. Now let's go ahead and go through the whole alphabet, and I'll try to do this quickly so you can see all of the letters and how they are made. So the next letter is a C. You can see I'm just drawing a few little lines, cutting off the corners, and then it's just a matter of filling in. Most of it is the figure 8. So it's really simple. Once you have the figure 8 shape, it really is simple to make the rest of the letters. Now, if you're drawing this and you'd like to make a lot of letters, what you might want to do is make like a stencil of the figure 8. And you can trace this, or you can cut it out and draw it onto like construction paper if you'd like to. Make like a template or a stencil like, and you can use this if you're going to make like paper cutouts. But it's pretty easy to do. Now, in my classes, we do a lot of perspective, and that's what we're going to use this for. So a lot of my students are asking now, well, how do I make a E, or how do I make a Z, or whatever the case may be. And so I thought I'd make this video just to show them how to make every letter and use the figure 8 technique to make all those letters. Notice that we're not using any curves, and that's a whole different way of doing things. This is just for block letters. And you'll see that this figure 8 will work for most of the letters. There are a few that it will not work for. When you get to letters that have angles like an A or an M or an X or a Z or a Y, letters like that, an N also, you'll see that you can't quite use this as much. But like this example G right here, you can see how just a couple of lines and you can fill in the whole area. It's pretty easy to do. So you can go through this and make all the letters. You'll notice that my figure 8, the middle is a little bit high, and that's because I didn't measure it. I just kind of eyed it up and thrown it in there. And so it's just a fraction of an inch high. I would say maybe 1/8 of an inch too high, but it still works. And you'll see with the eye, you have to draw the middle section, which is not a big deal. It's pretty easy to do. When you draw these letters, though, try to make all the portions of those the same size. And I like to use this program here because I don't have to worry about the letters becoming crooked, because it draws all the lines straight for me, which is kind of nice. And I can keep all my lines parallel, which when you draw it on your own, you may not be able to keep a parallel line, and it's a little bit tougher. A K is another example of one that is more difficult to draw, but you see I'm using parts of the figure eight. And if you don't like it, obviously you can erase and redo it. But try to make all the legs of the letters about the same thickness. It'll look better that way. And so I got a little error there I've got to fix. It must be a little spot. There you go. A little bitty spot I just need to clean up. And I can fill those in okay. And you can see how easy it is once you understand how to make the letters and to use the figure eight technique. L's a pretty easy one. Now when we get to the M and the N, it's a little bit more difficult. There's a little bit more to it. In the M you can do many different ways. You can see right here I don't have it quite centered. Probably should erase that and redo it. But I can bring the M all the way down to the bottom. If I don't like that, I don't like the way that looks, I certainly don't like the way I didn't get it centered. I would fix that for sure. I can draw it other ways too. I don't have to draw the middle of it all the way down to the bottom. And again, you should certainly center it if you're going to do it, because you can see right there that looks off. So maybe spending a little bit of time measuring would probably be helpful. Let's try it again, see if it's any better. Again, didn't measure, so it probably will not be perfect. Trying it again. Now you can see here at the bottom, instead of making a point, I make a flat portion at the bottom. And it's just a different style. It's not a big deal. You can do it the way you want to do it. And I got a little gap there again. Okay, so this is just another way that you can create an M. There's several ways of doing it. Do what you like to do. That's fine. And this is an N. Again, pretty easy. Just a couple of lines. And we're good to go on that. Fill it in. Just make sure if you're doing it with the computer, you fill all those little gaps. So we do this in the digital art class, and that becomes a problem sometimes. But just try to be as accurate as possible. O is pretty simple also. Just cut off the corners and fill it in. And it's a pretty simple letter. Okay, the P is another easy one. Most of it's done. Just a couple of lines. Cut off the corners and fill it in. It's pretty easy. Q is going to be a lot like the O. You're pretty much making an O and just making a little bitty section at the bottom for the little Q mark. And I'm just going to kind of draw this freehand here. Pretty easy. And let's see how it fills in. Make sure I filled it all in properly. And there you go for the Q. And we're almost done. We're getting to the end here. R is just going to be just like the P, except we're going to have a little leg out to the side. So you can see I'm drawing that right there. And then just fill it in. Let's see how easy that is. We've already done the S, but I guess I should go over it again just to make sure, because it really is the toughest letter. There's a lot to it. But this figure eight technique really makes it easier to do. So see how simple that was. T is another easy one. The top is already made, but you have to make the middle just like I made the middle for the I. Same thing. Oops, got a little section out there that I missed. Fix that up, fill it in, and we're good to go. Now a U just needs a couple corners cut off. Pretty easy. And fill it in, we're good there. V is another one of those angled letters. And again, it'd probably be best if you measured these out a little bit better. You'll notice I think I got that little corner off a bit. And so if you measured it, it would be better. And here I'm going really quickly, so I'm not measuring, and some of the letters are slightly off. And you can see right there I've got a little error. See if we can get that fixed. I'm not sure exactly where the problem. There it is. There's the problem. The problem when you do digital work, that happens. So I'm sure a lot of you have, and if you've taken my digital art class, you use the iPad quite a bit. Okay, W is a lot like the M, and there's many ways you can do it. You can have the middle of the W go all the way up to the top. You can have it go halfway. It could be at a point. It could be at, flat, and you kind of have to decide. You see here, I'm just trying to decide where my angle should be. Getting my letters parallel, and I'm just eyeing those up. So sometimes when you do that, you don't get the best results. But you can always redo it. Draw something, it's not right, just do it again. Not a big deal. So there's your W. Filling this one in is a little harder because I got lots of little bitty lines, and it looks like I have a little error there. So I'll have to fix that. See if I can get these and fix that little corner. Yeah, there's a couple little spots there, isn't there? There you go, and there's the other one. There we go. Good enough. Okay, the X is one of those letters that I don't use many of the parts of the figure eight, but there are a couple points that help, and I'm going to use those to my advantage. Fill this in, and we should have our X a little bit thinner this way, but that's okay. If it's a little bit thinner, you could make it a little thicker if you wanted to. Okay, so just a couple more letters to go. We have the Y and Z. Finish those up. Y is a little interesting. We're going to draw that first leg a little bit off at an angle. I'm going to draw this one down kind of low, and then it's just a matter of filling that puppy in, and we're pretty good. And let's do the Z. We use a couple parts for the Z from the figure eight, so that's a pretty easy one to do. Okay, that's it. We're all done. Next time I will show you how to do letters with curved edges. I'll see you next time.